Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's opposition accused the Rowley administration of mismanagement of the COVID-19 crisis. This story takes the lead in our 1111th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 13th May 2021. Details after this break.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The political leader of the United National Congress is telling the government of Trinidad and Tobago to take the blame for the rising number of COVID cases in the country. Speaking at a virtual meeting on Monday evening, Kamla Persad-Bissessar said the opposition had warned the government about the impending pandemic since January 2020, but claims it was busy planning for Carnival instead. TV6's Marlon Hopkinson has the details.
In a wide-ranging speech, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar did not hold back any punches, criticizing the Prime Minister, the Health Minister, and even the Chief Medical Officer. She said because of them, there is now a credibility problem when it comes to what is being reported about COVID here. She said something is not right, and that's why there is vaccine hesitancy.
What is the real number of deaths that have occurred because of the COVID? Because reports are coming in that there are more persons positive, there are more persons dying, but we are not given the true number. So come clean with us, because you say it's bad enough, and therefore don't hide, don't cover up, bring the real numbers. Let us know the true state of the situation in our country. Today, I think it is clear to everyone that not only are we being given incorrect numbers, whether deliberately or whether by inadvertence, it is also clear that the government totally mishandled the COVID crisis.
Mrs. Persad-Bissessar said Health Minister Terence Dialsing and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram have been pretending they know what they are doing since the pandemic began.
And Dr. Parasram told the nation in the parliament, through the parliament, don't worry about that, that's not going to affect Trinidad, because from day one, you were not prepared, you were not planning, you were not thinking, you had no thoughts. And today it's the same people who for the past over 14 months have been saying they're handling this crisis. The same people, what will they do different? And the numbers continue to climb.
Not forgetting Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, the opposition leader said he must take full responsibility for what she calls the COVID mess the country is in today. She said the longer the government refuses any other ideas and assistance, the longer the country will be in crisis.
Don't talk about the chief among them all. The only MP, as I said, to catch COVID is the one who is always buffing up everybody else. The Prime Minister himself. Buffing citizens and says, your fault, you are responsible. Prime Minister, you must take the responsibility because you are in charge. You cannot continue to blame citizens have been. In fact, today I'm on the road, and the roads are basically empty. People are trying their best to comply, but this buffing is not going to work. You should have buffed yourself before you call everybody to Tobago.
She also claimed that many persons are yet to receive salary grants, but persons with government connections are about to benefit from this pandemic.
The only plan now is to lock down everything except their finances, pockets. And I'm waiting to see who is going to be bringing in these vaccines. Who will be the middleman? Who will be paid? There are reports that you have one financier who has now become the super vaccine monopoly man.
She called on the government to put aside what she described as petty partisan politics to get the pandemic under control. Marlon Hopkinson, TV6 News.
Chinese vaccines by month end, and the health minister says herd immunity is achievable in a 6 to 7 month period in Trinidad and Tobago. Ravashitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News reports.
TNT is set to receive some of the committed 100,000 freshly approved Sinopharm vaccines by the end of this month. Reached earlier today for an update on bilateral discussions, Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown says, quote, "The ambassador of China has remained in constant communication with the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, and we have been assured that we will receive a shipment of Sinopharm by the end of this month." End quote. The donation is expected to go a long way in getting TNT to herd immunity. Herd immunity is defined as a form of protection against infectious diseases when a sufficient percentage of the population becomes immune, either via infection or vaccination.
Herd immunity is about getting 60 to 70% of our adult population vaccinated. That means about 600 to 700,000 persons. A cabinet decision, I took a note to cabinet to do just that.
Health Minister Terence Dialsing in the Senate on Tuesday says that plan is dependent on 3 factors. 1, the availability of vaccines. 2, public confidence in vaccines. And according to the minister, most importantly, number 3.
We need to get the UNC to stop undermining the government's vaccination plan. That is the most important component to reach herd immunity.
And if the opposition does work with government,
we could administer 700,000 vaccines in this country to achieve herd immunity in about 6 to 7 months, based on deploying vaccines to all 104 health centers and 10 mass vaccination sites.
Minister Dialsing says so far there is no formal arrangement with any pharmaceutical company for the supply of vaccines, but discussions are ongoing with Pfizer, Moderna, COVAX, and the African Medical Supply Platform, a non-profit initiative launched by the African Union as an immediate, integrated, and practical response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
With over 154,000 people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 in Guyana, health authorities there have announced that the country seems on schedule for achieving herd immunity within the next 3 to 4 months. HGP's Tamika Rodney has the details.
Even as health authorities continue to push the envelope to ensure between 60 to 80% of the local adult population is immunized against COVID-19 in a timely manner, 3 months into the vaccination drive, which started on February 11th, more than 154,000 adults have been inoculated. Health authorities have indicated that an estimated 500,000 adults are eligible for vaccination across the country. However, achieving herd immunity would necessitate 350,000 adults being fully vaccinated. The potential end to COVID-19, which is anticipated to drastically reduce transmission, is referred to as herd immunity. This happens when a significant portion of a population achieves immunity to a disease, either through prior infection or vaccination, so that the disease is unable to spread from person to person. Based on the plan to immunize 70% of the adult population, Head of Medical Services and Cardiology at the Georgetown Public Hospital, Dr. Mahindra Karpan, in a recent interview with Nightly News, divulged that herd immunity is likely within the next quarter of this year.
Then that's 350,000 Guyanese or residents. So we're at 150. We need to vaccinate 200,000 more. It took us from March to May to do 150. So that is 2.5 months, maybe in another 3 to 4 months.
With the emergence of a COVID-19 variant in neighboring Brazil, which has made its way to Trinidad and Tobago, many Guyanese are worried whether the country will face the same fate. Dr. Carpin was asked whether any of the COVID-19 vaccines currently being used locally offer protection against the new variant.
The basic mechanism in which the vaccines work to reduce severity of illness continues to work even in the Brazilian variant. The countries that have been showing the catastrophic events of the second wave, there is a failure there for vaccinating the population rather than the failure of vaccines.
Brazil's P1 COVID-19 variant is behind a deadly COVID-19 surge in that country as well as Trinidad. It is considered to be a more highly transmissible and deadlier form of the virus. While health officials have not completely rubbished claims of the presence of the P1 variant in Ghana, they seem hesitant in confirming it. Instead, they are adamant that until samples are sent abroad for testing and the results confirm the existence of the mutant strain, the claims will be considered speculations. In a 24-hour period over the weekend, Trinidad recorded 8 deaths and Guyana 9. And given the sudden rise in new infections and deaths in both countries, and the fact that Guyana's airports remain open to all and sundry, it is impossible that the variant has escaped Guyana. Numerous, continuous, and growing calls from all sections of society for the government to reinstate the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew until the situation is brought under control continue to fall on deaf ears. Instead, as the body count spirals, vaccination seems to be the myopic solution for this administration. A second COVID-19 tsunami is also wreaking havoc in India, which has disrupted the manufacture of COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Carpin took the opportunity to urge persons to avoid procrastinating to take the jabs, as there is possibility that a massive shortage will emerge.
There are many people in Guyana and around the world who may want to wait a little bit more before getting their vaccines. And I want to caution a little bit because we see what's happening in India. And a lot of the vaccine components, even for the Pfizer vaccine and Moderna vaccine, they are produced in India. And if India becomes overrun and they're unable to supply the world with medicines and vaccines, etc., then it will become scarce.
Tamika Rodney reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley served notice that as soon as a safe vaccination becomes available for children, her government will move to vaccinate that section of the population. More from Barbados Today Online News.
We're at a stage now where we expect, I believe, another major shipment, and hopefully that will get us to where we need to go with our adult population. And now we have then start to focus on those under 18 with respect to vaccinations, which, as you know, is still very much in its embryonic stages globally, with yesterday only another drug company after coming out and indicating that they've had the approvals. Our brothers and sisters in Cuba have also indicated that they're in an advanced stage with a vaccine for adolescents, and we therefore look to see how best we can contract or procure any of these vaccines, but at this stage it is still too early to give any definitive guidelines or framework.
She was speaking as the country received a second tranche of 33,600 vaccines from the COVAX facility today. Prime Minister Motley also used the opportunity to urge the international community to host a global summit to address the challenges facing some countries in accessing COVID-19 vaccinations.
If ever there was a need for the world to stand up and recognize that we need a global summit for coordinated action with respect to how we treat to the COVID pandemic, how we treat to the equitable distribution of vaccines, how we treat to the restricted movement of people and countries in a coordinated way to give the global community the best chance of putting this behind us. In the spring meetings that just concluded, the World Bank and the IMF, we were clear that there is going to be no serious global recovery economically until we wrestle COVID-19 to the ground. We cannot wrestle COVID-19 to the ground unless there is vaccine equity and unless there is coordinated actions across countries and not by single countries, one by one by one. I therefore use this opportunity this morning, first and foremost, to remind us at the global level that there is nothing stopping us from a global summit other than us.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now makes it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.